Hi, I'm Naomi from Drop-In Designs. Today I'm going to show you how to sew a modern cloth nappy with 3 layers, so Minky or bamboo velour or something like that as the outer. I've had a request after my tutorial with the 2 layers just to expand on that so that people can see how it works with 3 layers. So I'm just going to run through really quickly with you just so you can see the differences, because it's basically the same. There is just a couple of little differences with the 3 layers. So let's get into it. Alright, now the first thing I'm going to show you is some layering, because you do have to think about the way you layer when you've got 3 different layers. The first thing that you need to think about is how your elastics are going to sit. So if you want them to roll in, then you need to do it the way I'm doing it. If you want them to roll out, and you would do that with natural outers, so if you wanted to put a cotton jersey or a bamboo velour or a cotton velour or something that might wick, so something absorbent on the outside of your nappy, so that's when you want your elastics to roll out. So I start with the outer face up because I'm going to roll my elastics in. I've then got my inner here, and we want that to go right side down. So we've got our right sides together, and we just kind of stretch that over nicely. Now, if you want your elastics to roll out, you'll actually flip this. And then we'll put the pull on, and we'll put that with the shiny side down. And look, at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter if you forget and get it the wrong side up. It'll still do its job, but it's better, I think, to have the shiny side against the inner, just because then the other side of your pull's not getting wet. And then I just clip it with these amazing little wonder clips, like so. So I start at the back and get that lined up, and then I line up the front nicely. And you can see it seems like the inner's just a touch bigger than the outer, but in fact they've been cut using the same template, so they are the same size. It's just that the fabric has a different amount of stretch, so that it can sit differently. But if you line up that and then you smooth it out, see? And then we make sure some of the crucial points are lined up. And we're ready to sew. Okay, so I've got the sewing machine ready to go, and we're sewing with the Minky side down, so the pull up, same as we did with the 2-layer nappy. Now the main difference is just how much adjusting that you need to do. Also, as I'm sewing, I'm going to go around following the Minky layer. So if this bit's sticking out over the edge, for example, I'm just going to make sure that my hem width is based on where the Minky layer is sitting at. There's a couple of reasons for that. Firstly, I find that the Minky stretches less than the other fabrics. In most cases, some Minky is very stretchy, but I would still follow the Minky line simply because if you've got any embroideries or embellishments on there, you want to make sure they stay centered on your Minky. That's where you put your snaps as well. So if you've got snaps on your Minky, you want to make sure that they're centered on where they're supposed to be. So your other layers might shift and not quite line up with the edges of the Minky. That's okay, as long as your hem on the Minky is relative to all the other bits and pieces that you've got on there. So let's go. So as you can see, I've got a little bit of a pucker up here. All you do is simply lift your foot and smooth that out and make sure that it's not folding under there, but that it's just staying smooth. And then you keep going. And that's just caused by the different types of stretch in the fabrics. So see, I'm just pulling that over there because it's only moved about that much. So I'm just moving that in line. Now at the corner here, it's kind of sticking over a bit more, so what I'm doing is reaching in here, grabbing my inner and pulling it from there to get it back in line. So I'm just doing that again. Now I'm just checking where my snap is here. And I just want to make sure that that goes far enough behind the needle to give me plenty of room so that when I turn it, this big bulky walking foot is not going to try and sew over the snap. Sewing over snaps, not a good idea. In case you're wondering what happens if the needle hits the snap, it breaks and shoots off and possibly hurts you. Right, so you can see here there's quite a bit of shifting. No need to stress about it really, just pull it back into line, keep going. If it was puckered up along here, which does happen quite a lot just because of the different kinds of stretch, what I do is give a slight stretch, and I try to only do that where elastics are going to be put in so that it's not noticeable, because if you do it on places like the wings and the front of the nappy where you don't have tummy elastic, you'll notice it won't sit quite as flat once you top stitch it. So the elastic points are where you, between the elastic points is where you want to stretch if you need to stretch and make your materials sit flat together if you're getting any puckering. So we just pull that back into line and we just keep going. We're getting a little bump there, so we just smooth that out like we did before. And just here we've just got to pull that back up again. Easy. So you can see there is just a tiny little bit of a pucker here, where the Minky's just seems a touch longer than the inner bits. So I'm just stretching that slightly, and I can see the wings end here, so I want to get the majority of that stretch in here. There we go. And see how I'm just, as I'm sewing, I'm just trying to hold it on each side of the foot and just keep the fabric taut and firm. That's another thing that's stopping everything slipping around so much. So you don't want to be pulling it, but you do want to keep your fabric nice and taut. So we'll just do an adjustment there because that inner is poking out past the nappy. see I've got my hand at the back here, just trying to keep it nice and straight as I sew. Now I've got a curve here, so I'm just letting this front hand here gently guide that curve around, just in line with the needle. I've got a little bit of a bump there again, so we're just going to smooth that out. Alright, I'm back to the end. Now when it comes to thinking about how much of a turning hole to leave there when you get back here, I go with enough to fit 2 fingers through and wiggle a bit. So it's, I don't know, probably 4 or 5 centimetres maybe. Maybe not quite that much. You want to leave a little bit more if you've got embroidery on there. Also you want to leave plenty of room if you've got something like sewn on ruffles, if you've added any 3D embellishments like the bunny ears I do, for example. Anything which is going to make your nappy a bit bulkier, you want to give yourself a little bit of extra room just to turn it out. Alright, so that's the nappy sewn together. The next step, of course, is to do the elastics. That's pretty much the same as what I showed you on the other tutorial. Again, you're going to sew it on the Minky side, sew the outer, because we're doing the roll-in elastics here. If you're doing the roll-out elastics, then you're going to sew it the other side. Easy. I won't show you that though, because it's pretty much exactly the same sewing-wise, and that's going to get a bit boring. So I'll be back to you for turning and top stitching. Okay, turning out again is pretty much the same, but I'll just show you because there's one tiny little difference. Now I've already clipped my corners and notched my curves. Now all you need to do here is you need to grab in between your outer and your inner, so your Minky and your microfleece or swag cloth normally. And same as before, reach in, here's my fingers, grab that and pull it through. And then we reach in, we grab the other wing out, and then use a trusty old ruler. And when I say old, it is old, it's still got my maiden name written on it from when I was at school. And I'm not going to tell you how long ago that was. So I'm poking out the corners here just to get the nice sharp corners. Go around the edges just to get those a bit crisper as well. And it's turned out. Ta-da! Top stitching, mostly the same, just a couple of little quick tips I'll show you. So first things first, when I'm putting my nappy in there, first thing I do is I'm grabbing this edge here and I'm pinching it, just giving it a little wriggle there just to get it nice and sharp, and then we hold that tight and we slide that in under, and as you can see I've removed the walking foot. I've already got it set up on the right needle position and stitch length, so in we go. Now you want to always make sure that your Minky, you can see the Minky over the inner. You don't want to see your inner poking out here. Alright, and so you're just constantly pinching or pressing that Minky into place. Now if you're just starting out, you don't want to go quite that fast. Now I'm just trying to pull that corner out just a little sharper, and you can do that by kind of pushing it like that. And we've made sure we've got enough space around the snaps, that's very important. Now as you're very close to the edge of the Minky here. Sometimes when you start off after you've turned it around on a corner like this, you just need to give your Minky a bit of a push just to get it moving, or even a little bit of a tug. That just helps get enough of the Minky, or enough of the microfleece, sorry, or whatever you've got as your inner, enough grip on the little teeth that come up and move your fabric along. So I'm just pulling that straight there, and then again pressing it down just to get that nice sharp edge. A little bit of a push under there, a little bit of an adjustment needed just to get the Minky over the microfleece. Alright, and there's our elastic, so we finish that off. And I just like to trim the threads as I go, because if you don't, you can sometimes find that your thread end disappears into the Minky pile and you don't see it until you're using your nappy later on when it's somehow worked its way out. So that's the wing done. Pretty much exactly the same for the rest of the nappy. And like I said, not much difference to what we were doing in the earlier tutorials, so I'll leave it there and I will come back to you and give you a quick look at the finished product. And here we are, one beautifully finished, lovely, soft and fluffy Minky nappy. Thanks for watching again, and if you have any questions please leave them below the video and I'll answer them when I can. And also please don't hesitate to let me know if you have any requests for more instructions on how to make beautiful cloth nappies. Thanks again. Bye.